Hi friends, Dr. Sunshine here from the Recovery Nook. If you're new here, I am a board certified clinical psychologist and also a person who is intimately familiar with living with chronic relapsing depression. On this channel, I talk about everything that I learned about depression and how to deal with it from both clinical and personal sides. I also discuss issues of living with addiction and trauma. If you're new here, make sure you click the subscribe button to join our community of people struggling and living with addiction or recovery from addiction or recovery from mental health issues, or most often both. This video we will continue to discuss unhelpful thinking patterns that can get us depressed or anxious very fast, and how to challenge them and get out of the depressed mode or anxious mode very quickly. Specifically today, we will talk about another very common thinking mistake called jumping to conclusions. I'll show you just how we all engage in it on a daily basis automatically, and how you can catch yourself engaging in it and challenge it and get yourself feeling much better. So, jumping to conclusions is when we jump to a conclusion without having all the necessary information. So, jumping to conclusions is when we assume something automatically that is not warranted by the facts at hand. And jumping to conclusions includes two different subtypes of thinking called mind reading and predicting the future, or crystal ball is another name for it. Today we'll go over what mind reading is. So mind reading means that you are assuming something that is not warranted by the facts at hand. In the case of mind reading, it means you are jumping to a conclusion that other people are judging you or having negative feelings towards you, and you're arrived to this decision without any facts at hand or convincing evidence. So I have tons of everyday examples of that, and I'm sure you'll recognize some of them as I often talk about it. One that I often bring up, I don't know why, just probably because I miss the city, but that one is I was riding on a New York City subway, and it was a pretty long ride, and there was this woman sitting across from me, and she kept staring at me, kind of like staring at my face. I was mortified. In my head, I was thinking, oh my God, there's something really bad. Must be my makeup's all over, like I have raccoon eyes. So I kept going like this. She kept staring, and I was thinking, oh my God, like she really thinks I'm ugly, or she thinks that there's something really wrong with me. What's wrong with this woman? And I was almost getting angry at some point. And then at some point it was her stop, I guess. And before she got off the train, she came up to me smiling in a friendly way. And she said, I'm sorry, I really don't want to sound intrusive, but I really, really like your hat. Can I please ask, did you make it yourself? The whole ride I've been looking at it and trying to figure out how I can knit it and like how to go through those stitches and what kind of technique you use. When she said that to me, well, first of all, I felt this sense of relief, and second, I just wanted to kiss her. On the lips. I was just so happy. But that taught me that I really need to look at what's going on up here when I interact with other people, and make sure that I don't keep making the same mistakes as I did. Because if you actually don't ask the person and don't find out more information about what's going on, what you're assuming, if it's right. Sometimes you start to become defensive. Sometimes you start to avoid the person. And sometimes that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you start to behave defensively and the person may actually start to dislike you, even if they didn't in the first place. So, how do you deal with your mind jumping to conclusions that other people are thinking negatively about you? Well, 3 strategies I'm going to discuss today. First one is inquiry. And I know that's very difficult, especially for those of us who are socially anxious. And it depends, I guess, on how close you are with the person. But the best way is to actually ask the person. Trust me, there's no other way you can find out what they're thinking. I know it's hard, but I can tell you for sure it worked for me so many times and actually made my day. Second strategy is self-disclosure. And I do that a lot. And there is a reason. Reason is because I am anxious and I always think people are looking at me and thinking what a fool she is. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So whenever I do a group, I lead a new group, I always self-disclose saying, hi, don't know about you, but I'm very anxious right now. And doing that sort of, first of all, makes me more personable and relatable, and it also bonds you with your audience. A very good example is when I used to date and I went on a date, I often would say to the person, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be babbling a lot because I'm very anxious. And they usually would jump on it and be like, oh my God, I'm so anxious too. This is so awkward. Online dating is really hard. And then we would be bonding away about how awkward it is. And in a matter of minutes, we would be in it and conversation would be flowing very smoothly. So these are 2 examples of self-disclosure. Now, the third method is called, biggest fear or your worst nightmare. And here, this one takes a little bit longer, but it works in the long run. So just bear with me. What I want you to do is to imagine the worst case world where everybody is actually really mean to you. And people are actually all thinking bad things about you, and they're also not shy about telling you that. So once you imagine this world, I will now walk you through how a sample dialogue that you can have with one of your accusers. So let me give you an example. You come up with your worst fantasy, worst feared fantasy, and then you can use either self-defense or self-acceptance, kind of agreeing with humor. So I'll give you an example for myself. So the accuser says, hey, Dr. Sunshine, I've been listening to your videos and you really screwed up. I mean, you're more screwed up than some of your patients. Me. Well, that very well might be. In fact, there is a ton more of stuff that I have going on that I don't talk about on this vlog. What do you think? Well, the accuser, I think you are not qualified. I mean, who's gonna want to work with you? Me. Well, actually, you might be right, but in a way, I think all of these difficulties I've been through, they have helped me to learn and understand my patients better and also know what works and what doesn't work. I think I get a deeper understanding of people after what I've been through. And the person says, well, you can think anything you want, but I know for a fact that nobody will want to work out with such a screwed up psychologist, I say. Well, that very well might be. But in my practice, I noticed that it's actually quite the opposite. I noticed that a lot of people find my work with me very helpful. And I mean, maybe they have very low standards, probably do, but usually they are more focused on the compassion and the solutions to their issues that I help them find rather than focusing on judging me. And actually, also, most of my patients, when they find out that I am imperfect, I notice they start to like me even more. My accuser. Yeah, that might be. But you can't even manage to wear both earrings in one of your videos. I mean, who does that? Me. Oh yeah, that was bad. I know. And you know what? It happens more than you know. But the interesting part is I actually got a set of after that video, I got a set of hoop earrings from one of my subscribers saying that, Dr. Sunshine, whenever you find out you're missing an earring, you can always have this with you and pick any one that you like to wear that day. And that's why I'm wearing these, because I didn't have an earring. But you know what? I did notice that psychologists having both of their earrings in is very important for you. So I'm thinking that maybe when you're looking for your next psychologist, you should put that at the top of your list. That my psychologist has both earrings. And see, I just dropped my earring again. Damn. I'm sure that's really uncomfortable for you. Sorry, I'm gonna cover up my ears. The accuser. Well, I heard in one of your videos that during COVID pandemic and the quarantine, when you were sitting at home without structure, you spend your children's college fund on damn crystals. Me. I know. Tell me about it. And now I have reminders of them everywhere. Like they're everywhere. See, two more. In fact, would you like some? I can give you some nice crystals to go. Even more importantly, I think going through that period and spending all that money on crystals actually gave me a lot of insight and taught me about what everybody else was going through and all of my patients were going through at the time, when there's no structure and lack of certainty and predictability in the world. People engage in all kinds of crazy compulsive behaviors to fill that void. Do I have your interest now? Maybe. So you've now seen, I actually did find my earring. It was on the floor. Oops. Now you've seen the one stay. Sorry. Okay, I might as well go like this. Okay. So now you have seen me describe 3 different techniques to combat mind reading. One was inquiry, which basically means asking the person nicely whether they are actually thinking what you think they're thinking about you. Second was self-disclosure, which was to actually verbalize your fear, and which usually actually creates a bond between you and the other person. And the third one was the one that you can actually do by yourself or with your friends, called the feared fantasy. So with the feared fantasy, obviously you are battling not the other person but your own projection. Obviously all of those things were never said to me but keep running through my mind. And so basically you can practice that strategy by writing down your worst fantasies about what people are thinking of you. And sometimes you can either play it in your head like I did with the camera, or you can ask a good friend to do it with you. And sometimes you might even do role reversals, and you'll be the accuser and they'll be you. And that will give you actually some really great perspective and maybe even make you really laugh hard at yourself for like even thinking that. So I really encourage you to try that. Please leave a comment. Let me know whether you used any of these three techniques, what they did for you. Maybe you know other techniques that work for you. And please remember to subscribe and hit the notification button so you never miss another video from me. Bye.